You look at in Egypt that the army is, more than 50% of the economy. Every bit of bottled water in Egypt is bottled by the army. They're the largest landowner in Egypt, and it's the same in Syria. But it's not just the army there; it's the kleptocracy of the Mamluks and Maloufs and Assads. If you want to get any building done, you'd have to talk to Rami Mamluk, and then he owned the telecommunications companies. Everything went through these 6 families. And the same thing in Iran. The Revolutionary Guard is a huge corporation that has a military wing. I think it's difficult for people to conceive that there is this convergence of commerce and militarism.
One of the people we interview was an old friend of mine named Sarah Shays, and Sarah lived in Kandahar. She drove into Kandahar in Afghanistan in 2001 on a motorcycle by herself. I mean, the Taliban were still there, and rented a house and started a kind of advocacy within the civilian population. Extraordinarily brave woman, and she's an academic. She's studied a lot of this stuff, and what she's realized is that if you look at all of the Arab Spring countries, if you look at all of the really radical Islamic movements like the Taliban in Afghanistan, Al-Shabaab, Somalia, ISIS, Boko Haram in Nigeria, all of them get traction with the population. They're extremist, horrible organizations, but they get traction with the civilian population because they promise to end the corruption of the government. It's corruption that gets reasonable, good people to sign on with a radical movement that they don't particularly like, because they're so desperate, they're so crushed by the endless corruption of their own government and violence of their own government. And so it's an important thing to remember if we talk in this country about terrorism, or in the United States about terrorism and the threat to the West, that really the root, a lot of this terrorism ultimately is the incredible injustice in these very, very corrupt countries, often countries that we're doing business with. We're doing business with these corrupt regimes. We're aiding and abetting them. And if we really want to protect ourselves from terrorism, one of the things we could do is actually really start at the bottom and fight corruption. And that would go a long way towards protecting us.
Continue watching this fascinating conversation for free by clicking on the link below to visit our website, learn from the best minds in the world, and connect with a community of passionate people building the best versions of themselves. Just click on the link below, and I'll see you on the inside.